Maybe it's easier if you just grab it. The red button on top.
This one, right?
Yep, turn it up. You're ready to go.
Yeah.
Once mom and dad are gone, things change. No, we're just looking at ways to move forward, and it's easy to find reasons.
But the best thing is like, shift the building out there. We need to visualize it, it's like that, it's not what we do. Makes the infrastructure process.
Well, and then,
Can they start now, Rob?
Yeah.
no, I like to see the school buses have some kids in them again.
I see you coming into town with 2 or 3 kids now. We can afford to cash the buses.
Well, then they don't have that.
It looks like pretty serious business.
I want to thank all of you for coming this evening. County meeting, and like to welcome y'all here, and also please make sure that your phones are on mute or turned off, and join me with in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start our meeting this evening with roll call, please, Patty.
Dan?
Here.
Don?
Here.
Wanda?
Here.
Ryan?
Here.
John?
Here. Next item, any financial conflicts of interest by any of our board members?
I don't have any.
I have none gathering.
I have none.
I have none.
I have one with regard to item 11, part 2 claims.
Okay.
And I will be abstaining.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve our agenda?
Mr. Chair, and then I note that item 8 has been rescheduled.
I'm sorry, what?
Item
Number 8.
8 has been rescheduled.
Then
That's on my agenda, correct, Patty?
Yes.
Okay, so
It's rescheduled to November.
I just wanted to make that before we.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Dan, for bringing that up.
And then I would second Commissioner Kettering's motion to approve as amended.
Motion by Don, second by Dan, to approve the agenda as amended. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item. We should be able to move on with this, is that correct? We're way ahead of schedule.
It's not.
Approve our
Public comment?
what?
Public comment?
public comment, I'm sorry. Public comment is a time for persons to address this body on any subject. No action may be taken on a matter raised under this item of the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an item upon which action will be taken. Each person has up to 3 minutes to speak. There shall be no personal attacks against the members of this body, county staff, individuals, or organizations. The chair has the authority to enforce this policy. Failure to adhere to these rules may result in forfeiture of the remaining speaking time. Are there any public comments? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Now we can move forward to approve the 2025 annual budget. Can I get a motion
Well, no. it's
to discuss?
I think you have to go by the order that they're
Number
in.
5, Yeah, is state's attorney.
2025 budget discussion.
For the state's attorney.
Welcome. Hello, Tyler Larson, State Attorney's Office, Rob Clemish, State Attorney's Office. We wanted to just follow up on the budget before you guys have voted to approve. There was some modification to the proposed budget that we proposed that we wanted to discuss with the board to make sure our budget is funded for the 2025 year. Specifically in the salary and personal services section of the budget. The proposed, that we proposed was slashed by almost $120,000. And so we would like to counter that. I provided all the commissioners with salaries and estimated salaries for the 2025 year for our office and came up with a total of $649,000. So we would ask the commission to just amend that to reflect the proposed salary that we calculated to make sure that our budget is properly funded for salaries and other personal services that are under that line item.
Okay. And two guys, I know Chairman Fox provided kind of a vice chairman.
Oh, I thought maybe I'd been promoted.
Well, not yet. We'll see about the future. And kind of a breakdown of where salaries are. And I think,
No, I think Tyler provided a breakdown.
no, did you provide this one?
I provided that one. You provided the current breakdown and the proposed 25.
Yep. And the breakdown that you broke down, you based it on population of the counties. And I think the more fair way to break down is the workload and what sizes each county does. And I think Tyler provided everyone with a breakdown of where our numbers have been. And then he penned in on the right side, where we are today. And you'll see the numbers are up substantially. And when you compare us to other counties, you would see that the counties that would be more in comparison would be counties where the state's attorney has been paid substantially more than in counties that are even comparison. So even if you look at, I know Tyler shows Michael Smith, Clay County, they show him, and he just started, I believe, last summer, and they show him making $119,000, and his staff would be 2 full-time state's attorneys, and then I know there's support staff with him too, but he's nowhere near the amount of caseload that we have. If you look at Lake County, that's at $120,000. We're substantially larger than Davison County. We are larger in numbers. I think she shows Lawrence, Beadle County. Our numbers are significantly larger than all of them, and I think it's due to the location of where we are and due to the numbers of cases that we handle. So we're just asking that our budget be amended to, I think it's 649 for that line item that was on there. And so I guess we're just asking if you would adjust that. And really what we're doing is we're adjusting Tyler Larson's salary. And we believe under the circumstance with him going from part-time to full-time, we believe that would accurately reflect where he should be and where the other state's attorneys are being compensated in the county. So we're just asking that you consider that. And you would look at it based on the number of cases that we handle, not necessarily on the size of the county. But if you look at some other sizes of the counties, again, going back to Clay just got paid substantially more than the amount that Tyler's currently getting at this time. Anything more you want to add, Tyler?
One kind of question.
Or you have a finger in the air?
Yes, I do, because I don't like to just interrupt.
I've just seen where you're pointing.
Okay, two things. One, why wasn't all of this information provided back during budget? When we were all here, and I think it was Tyler came to present the budget at that time. Why weren't, I guess, all of these numbers? That's first question. Second question, because I'm doing compound questions now.
We like that.
This information that you've provided, where is the comparison for the other counties that you want to use as a comparable county? Because all we have is the statement that says that they do a lot more work because they're bigger counties.
Yeah, because I stated that. But what I think that was provided at the time we were going from the part-time to full-time. That was provided at that time.
I'm not sure that was.
I believe it was.
Because I know,
Because it would show
yeah,
that
this was provided. But it wasn't provided when you're comparing Minnehaha County, Pennington County, and Lincoln County as the counties that we should use as our standard, if you will, to increase the salary. I'm not saying that Tyler doesn't deserve an increase, but I think a $40,000 increase from his current salary seems excessive, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But I'm one of 5.
yes. And Wanda, I thought that information was provided last year at this time to kind of show you, but you could be right. I'm not claiming that. You're right, I wasn't there at the time to see what was submitted regarding.
Sadly, I keep a huge 3-ring binder full of all my county commission stuff. And I did whip through it pretty quickly. I might have missed it. I'm not saying it wasn't provided. I'm saying I don't recall that it was.
Okay. I'm not disagreeing it was, but regarding caseload, so I'm going to make a conclusionary statement without showing you. We do have a very significant caseload in comparison to other counties, and significantly higher than counties our own size.
Well,
so we do handle a lot of cases that come to our office. Plus we handle MIs, plus we start a diversion program, plus.
Well, and I don't have a problem with the diversion program. That keeps some of our juveniles from being felons forever, and it also keeps them out of the $458 a day situation, which the county doesn't want to pay for. But, we have, the only people that are in charge of how these numbers go, chins and juveniles would be the state. Juvenile citations, those that seem to have gone down markedly from 2018, which is 42 in number, to 2023, which is 1 in number. So I'm not saying that the juvenile situation has been increasing, it's gone down. But I would agree that from 2018 to 2023, the total felony cases has gone up 167, using the old math.
And one, it's because those numbers would be handled differently, and I know you're referencing the
I'm using
program.
your exhibit.
Yeah, but if you look at our juvenile diversion this year, well, I guess from 9/12/2023 to 9/29/2024, we had 191 juvenile diversions, 85 misdemeanor diversions, and 15 felony diversions.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing.
Oh, yes, no, I thought you were saying
I wasn't saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying that's a good thing. Juvenile diversion is a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping them from being felons for the next 70 years, fabulous.
Well,
But, like, for example, MIs, mental illness, you have 555, and in 2023, there was 759. Every year since 2018, mental illness, I'm assuming this is just commitments, not forced meds or ECTs. But if this is just mental illness commitments handled by the Yankton County Board of Mental Illness, which we pay over here on another budget, that's gone down markedly, partially because of Avera having a facility in Sioux Falls, and partially because Pennington County, whatever the hospital out there, built their own facility, and the governor, as I understand, wants to keep mental illness patients out there so that they don't have to drive 7 hours across the state and back.
Okay, so instead of rambling through these things, is there a number where you would support increasing Tyler's salary from its current state to another state? That's probably more of the question.
Why don't we just give him the salary that you were getting, and if you're going to stay, give you the salary he was getting, and just swap them? Because you're going to be, as I understand, you're staying on as part-time. Is that a yes for our Apple viewers?
Probably.
So then his salary goes up significantly. Unfortunately, yours goes down a little bit.
And whether you're still not comparable even to Clay County. Clay County's at 119.
I don't care what Clay County is. What I did is I took, when Tyler handed me his exhibit with the state's attorney, the county, the 2024 salary, county population, and number of office staff exhibit, which is not marked, so I can't refer to it as anything. He said that he took the top three, which were Minnehaha, Pennington, and Lincoln, added it up, divided by 3, and that's how he arrived at his number.
That's not true.
That's not what you did?
No. For the record, I took all the full-time state's attorneys that are on this sheet, minus Charles Mix and Yankton, because those are part-time. So I took all of them on this sheet,
And then
them together, divide them by the number, and that's the average. The average would be fair.
Okay, well, I understood it to be the top 3, but that doesn't matter because, at least in my opinion, because the county sizes are so different.
That's why I want an average.
You've got Tom Wallman at 164,000, and he's got 73,000 people in his county, and he's been doing it for, what, 20 years?
Not asking for Tom Woolman's salary.
I get it, but you just want to add stuff up and divide it. I get it.
Okay, so we could argue this all night long. Here's where I'm at, and let me explain that. Is you're asking for a wage budget of $649, is that correct?
Correct.
And we approved $625.
Correct.
Okay, so my thought is we Yankton County has been dealing with a matrix for at least since 2019 that I just sent out yesterday, I believe, how the salaries will play out for 2025. Now, I get that if everything goes correctly, that Tyler is going to become our state's attorney, our full-time state's attorney. Well, yeah, because he has no, because he
Unless
has,
something happens to him.
well, because there's no one running against him, okay?
Yeah.
So, and I do sympathize that other counties have the availability to pay their state's attorneys more than what maybe we have, but I think according to the matrix, it's a very fair salary. And I don't remember what that number is on the matrix that I just emailed out yesterday. And I can appreciate moving up a step or something like that, but our state's attorney's office is already at the top of the grade level. And years of experience does come into play, but if it's up to my understanding is it's up to the department heads to adjust 1 or 2 steps up from where you're at.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think what we're really talking about is the salary line item in the budget, or what everybody's discussing.
Yes.
And I really do appreciate Wanda's insight, and she, you know, to give her credit, she's looking for areas to cut, because we know how tight the budget is. And, you know, it started at 742, and it's lower than that now, and that's thanks to Wanda. But I think we also agree that going to a full-time or part-time state's attorney to a full-time state's attorney, that's going to require some measure of an increase. I think we agree on that.
Which is why I suggested swap the salaries.
Yeah.
Tyler gets Rob and Rob gets Tyler's.
Do we need to set a salary, or do we just need to set the number for the salary?
How they
Yeah.
divide it up
Yeah.
is up to them.
Yeah, is that what?
And
is that what you would say?
my proposal is that our state's attorney is at a grade 15.
Part-time.
Okay, but that's 15 basically on our matrix for anybody that we have is at grade 15.
But
Now, we always have the opportunity to change the step number in the scale, in the price wage matrix. So, and I would leave that up to the department head to decide what step they should be in.
Mr. Chair, I guess I like Wanda's way of doing it. I think we just maybe give him the budget. He's gonna be elected person. He's gonna distribute it fairly instead of putting him necessarily in a grade, because that's gonna change when we redo the formula. So so I guess my proposal would be, you know, maybe a compromise one, you know. We approve 625, they said they could do 649, let's meet in the middle of it. 637, and he can pay his people how he sees fit.
Then don't we have to publish again?
No.
I think that's a compromise.
There's just
We realize he's got it, you know, going, he's gonna have a lot of responsibility on his shoulders. He needs to make a few dollars more, but instead of putting that on the matrix now, maybe that needs to come back and get revisited, and we just do that number on the budget, and he can determine that for himself. You know, he's elected if not saying he would be, but if he's not responsible with the tax dollars.
And that's why I'm saying, we got the state's attorney's office is at the grade 15. Now, we got 12 steps up there that we have flexibility, because Tyler really is at only a step 5. Okay, so if we move him up to a 7, if we move him up to a 10, or we move him up to a 12, that's his decision, because he will be the department head. And there's a significant increase in salary between step 5 and step 10, 12, whatever the magic number becomes.
I agree with that. I guess what I'm saying.
And if we change the value away from the step program for the state's attorney's office because he's an elected official, now we got to change the step program for Patty because she's an elected official.
So am I.
And
Then maybe.
we're all elected officials sitting up here.
Exactly, then maybe.
So
maybe we should
that's
have a raise.
why my thought process is to stay on the matrix, and if we need to adjust steps, then that's our prerogative to do so, or that's actually his prerogative to do so. If he wants to step himself up to the very top line right away at the get-go, then we need to approve that and move forward. I think, I'm not 100% sure what the difference would be at the 625 versus 649. That's something that,
Using the old math, it's 29,000.
I understand that. What I'm saying is on the matrix that we have in place. So my thought is to leave the state's attorneys, the state's attorney at the grade of 15, and I think according to what I sent out, the very top pay is 109.
Did you send that out to everybody? Or who did you send it out?
Gary sent it out
Just
to the
heads.
department heads,
Oh, yeah,
so.
I didn't
And it's,
see
and it's something we're gonna discuss for the 2025 budget. And I basically told all the department heads that we'll adjust, we'll look at it and discuss it from now till the end of the year. And if there's other adjustments that we need to make, we'll talk about it. But I just think that we have a program now. We went to HR Alternative to adjust the grades and the steps on different departments. And it's gonna be fairly equal throughout the whole state of South Dakota for all the departments. And I can appreciate that maybe the state's attorney's office is a little bit different than the highway department, but at the same token, they're all employees of Yankton County, whether they're elected officials or not. We're paying the bills. And we have to make sure that we're within the guidelines or the guidelines that have been set up, and we need to make sure that it's fair to the constituents of Yankton County, that all employees are basically treated the same. That's my comments. Now, discussion.
Okay, so just to kind of cover it, the original proposal here that you brought tonight was the state's attorney going off the grade schedule, and all the price and entries here. But Dan, you were saying that you would think maybe doing a compromise of $637,000 for a budget and let state's attorney to then work out how that is distributed. And then John, I guess, yeah, so are we kind of talking then that we want to say state's attorney has to stay on the grade schedule and maybe do a compromise of 637?
I didn't hear him say that.
Oh,
No, I'm saying, however, I think the budget numbers, I don't think,
I think he's saying divide them up how you want.
Yeah, because, Mr. Chair, we need the budget number tonight.
No, I understand.
So I get what you're saying with the pay, but I don't know what that leaves the salary number at.
and we always have an adjustment for the steps that are
Oh,
coming.
yeah, but.
The
we
salary
need a number.
adjustment would be
Yeah.
within their inner office to divide up how it's gonna be. Because according to their thing, which doesn't have a number, there it is. They have included $71,000 for the new attorney that they don't have yet. But my recollection is that one of the reasons or manners in which you funded Alec Martin was by saying we didn't have another attorney. So we're going to take that money and slide it over to Alec, because you're sliding that over to Alec. That would be, according to this document, it says that you're going to pay him X number of dollars. That leaves about $20,000 play, if you will, flux, that you folks can play with in the budget. Because we don't have a lot of money to give away. I wish we had more money to give away. I wish we had sales tax, even 1%. Because it would be great to just throw money at people.
We do have assigned dollars for the state's attorney's office for extra help. That's $25,000. So if you wanted, they can supplement that at the beginning of the year, transfer that over to your payroll budget line for next year.
That takes up your shortfall.
And then you can go do your budget, redo your budget for 26.
Because 625 and 25, you're at 650.
If you want to do that now, like I said, and then next year, just when we do budget to
Do it to
calculate that in there. So that'd be 25,000 more than.
I've enjoyed the discussion.
That's down here.
He was thinking.
Some things that I hadn't thought of, so I appreciate that. What I do think about is the state of our country. state of our state, the number of illegal immigrants that will be coming, and the workload associated with that in our state's attorney's office. And I'd hate like hell to see the performance of that department go downhill.
Well, in fairness, most of the people that are causing the problems with the felony cases, with the meth, are not illegals or undocumented immigrants
Yeah.
or whatever is politically correct.
And what I said was coming. What I said is coming, and they're coming.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Yes, they are. And if it, expect the workload to increase considerably, it's going to require compensation. And that's what the Democrats, whoops, take that back. That's what the politicians need to figure out.
And I'm not, I'm kind of in agreement with Don, but in the same token, I'm not saying that our state's attorney's office is not gonna become overwhelmed. All I'm saying is we're sitting up here and we've got to make sure that all the rest of our employees are treated the same as what you guys are. Just because you're the state's attorney and you go to law school doesn't mean you're better than Mike's road grader operator compared to what we have to deal with the constituents of Yankton County. So therefore, that's what I'm saying. And you know, and Tyler, you've got, this is your 5th year or 6th year, I don't know exactly what it is. And if you want to move up the scale, that's fine. But our matrix that was designed in 2019, and we're looking at that. But at the same token, that's where it is today. And that's the funds that we have to distribute between our employees. That's my only thought is, I'm not saying that you don't deserve a raise. I'm just saying that we got to stay within that matrix for all the rest of the employees also.
I guess I'll just make one comment. We're going off the matrix from 2020, 21 when we got it. Our office, 2 of the attorneys in our office have already reached the end of the matrix. And now we're in limbo waiting for this new approval. So really it's hard to set a budget when you don't know where people are going to be placed or what the salaries are going to, the range is going to be. So that's why it's just difficult at this time to properly.
And I believe, I don't mean to interrupt, but I believe the ones that are at the end of the matrix, we're step 12, I believe there's a contingency plan in our regulations for wages that compensates them for years of service also.
And I have a question, because I haven't seen the new matrix, but there's a new matrix in addition to the steps give cost of living increases as well?
Yes. I mean, that's in the matrix for annually, it moves, it steps up every year.
Every year on the new matrix, we put it, whatever raise that you guys decide to give into the matrix. So everybody gets it then.
Okay.
Again, cost of living and then a step, so it's really like 2.
Exactly.
So you get both?
Yeah.
Plus,
Some do, some don't.
well,
Yeah, but when you make it up to the boss, whether or not they get a raise, then everybody gets a raise. I'd be willing to bet there were very few people who didn't get a step. Am I correct with that? Okay.
Probably some, yeah.
But
There were
that's-
some and there were some not. but-
So the real, it's really not a 4.2% increase, it's probably much higher than that annually.
isn't the state's attorney's office considered law enforcement?
Under the statute.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, we are.
And so, does the county contribute 8% to retirement for the state's attorney's office?
And that wasn't put into law, just the ambulance gets it.
Okay, I was just curious, I didn't know that.
Yep.
But you're in the defined benefit plan, are you not? So if you live to be 112, just keeps paying?
Okay.
Okay.
So you're asking for 649 and we've already approved 625.
Plus Patty said there's 25,000 to move over, so I call it a wash.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we'll
We're
just leave
good.
it for next year. And we'll put the 25,000 in your budget.
And then start early next year with your exhibits.
Thank you.
And then mark them, preferably mark them 1, 2, and 3.
On a positive note, I'd just like to thank you guys, Rob and Tyler for taking this on, and thank your employees, that you guys do a great service to our community, and just wanted to say thank you for everything you do.
So just so I'm clear, I mean, I understand what putting that $25,000 into the budget, how that connects with his salary.
Because he divides it up however he wants to.
Okay, so
That-
if he takes it all, then his salary goes up 25,000.
That's between him and whoever. Because I don't think we're gonna sit here and micromanage that Mike Solachek's rotor grader driver is gonna get a $225 raise, and then the guy who drives the dump truck gets $1.47, and then somebody else gets something else. I mean, he's gonna be the department head.
We're still gonna stay within the STEP and the matrix program.
And we're still within budget at this point, because there's that money to slide over.
You'll just have to put for your budget next year, Tyler's, what you want him to get, and change it to that.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, now comes the time to,
5-year plan. Oh, no,
We got-
sorry.
no, we gotta approve the 2025 annual budget.
And the only change from the provisional is, the historical levy trust amount, is going up to 144,934 from 136. And I just figured, because I had all the two figures, everything,
144,934 from what? 136?
Yes.
How is that levy going, Rob?
So
because
8,934?
it, it was voted on for the 5 cents per thousand.
Okay.
And the value goes up,
Okay.
they're gonna get more.
And is this a hearing?
So,
This is not.
I mean, if you want someone to speak, I think that's okay.
Is there anyone that wants to speak on the budget, proposed budget? Hearing none. Any further discussion by I guess I'd ask for a motion to approve the 2025 budget.
I move to approve the 2025 budget as proposed with that one correction.
And can I get a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Wanda, second by Don. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
I don't think that's been approved too much.
Do you have to do voice votes?
Five-year plan, Mike?
All our roads are gonna be fixed in 5 years, that's the plan, right?
Right. Last Tuesday, we had our 5-year plan meeting. Pretty good attendance. I guess, if there's any questions on it?
I'm sorry, we were distracted by a piece of paper.
No, I was just saying, last Tuesday was a 5-year plan meeting. I think we had pretty good attendance, some comments.
Did you fix that error that you found?
Fixed the 2 errors.
So then what do you need us to do? Do you need us to approve this, or?
I need you to approve the 5-year plan so it can be submitted to peers so we are eligible for big grants.
I move, or do we have to have discussion first? I move that we approve the 5-year plan, road plan as amended with the corrected issues so that it can be submitted to the state.
Second.
A motion by Wanda, second by Don to approve the 5-year plan as amended. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
The road grader on Purple Wave yet?
I'm sorry?
Is
The
it road
the
grader?
loader?
Yeah.
No, it's not, because our new one has not showed up yet.
Okay.
So we're still using the old one.
Okay. The John Deere guys want to bid it next time, they said, so.
Well,
And
then
the
the John Deere guy should be contacting Slavchek
He should be,
instead of you. I think we're up for the rezone now.
Gary?
Good evening. We have a rezone application. This is first reading. Applicants requesting a rezone of parcel in rural transitional district to lakeside commercial district per Article 18, Section 1809, and Article 20, Section 2003. Said property is legally described as the north 2 acres of the west 11 rods excluding lot H-3 of the southwest quarter, the northeast quarter, section 15, township 93 north, range 56 west of the 5th principal meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota. E911 address is 3111 West 8th Street. This is basically an application for Dollar General, and to get into compliance, that's why we need to rezone for the business.
Is this parcel kind of over by the, because I'm more a visual person, kind of over by the, not Yankton Motorsports, but the Kawasaki, or that other dealer, boat dealer, but in front of Spady's new
Yes, this is
storage units?
between Three Sons RV Park and Spady's land. There's a little property, a little 2-acre property next to Chris Barkle's house.
The alfalfa field.
Yeah, there's a little house there, and that'll be torn down, and they'll put the business in its place.
Is there going to be enough ingress and egress off the highway?
There's already an access road, Deborah Boulevard, and that's actually Kalia Street where that goes in also. And I know they've submitted a permit to the state too to help work on that approach there.
And was there a cess pond or something in the back that
A what?
I've seen on some kind of a gathering pond or something that they're,
Oh, that's the Three Sons
That's
Fish
Three
Pond.
Sons.
oh, that's it already,
Yeah,
that's
this
an
is
existing
farther
pond.
to the
Okay.
This
west.
is further,
Okay, okay.
further toward town.
Gotcha, I
This
just,
is Kalia Street down to Premier Circle, that area.
okay.
How will this be impacted by the new stoplights we're gonna get?
Well, it will certainly, help with traffic in that area. It'll slow people down probably a little bit going into that, but we'll see.
So it looks like on their little site plan that they are taking the highway access, moving it to the west a little bit.
Right.
So aligning with that road, which is a little bit off center, a little bit, because it's built all on one side of the property. And then it has a road improvement, and that's not going to cost the county anything, right? You're not being
No.
responsible for any part of that road.
No,
Yeah.
it's just existing as is, and then whatever the state, if they help approve something, help improve it. And I did have them move the little dumpster thing with those 2 parking spots to get that off the street a little farther. So the final plan will reflect that. This is the proposed building site plan.
And I'm assuming there's gonna be another septic tank going in down there then.
Yes, there will. But they don't really have a big output there, so.
What was the total size of the lot?
I'm
Lot.
sorry?
What's the total size of the lot?
2 acres.
2 acres, okay.
I get a motion on the approval of that
No,
rezone?
it's a first
Oh,
reading.
Mr. Chair, let's
First
open it
reading.
up for public comment at this time.
Public comment.
Uh-oh.
Nancy Wanandy, speaking as an individual who lives here within city limits. I actually drive out there quite often. Our dog goes to daycare. And I just want you to all be aware that there's some visibility issues of that trail. It appears from their design that they're going to be removing some of the existing trees, but adding more trees along what would be the north side of their property. So I just want everyone to be aware that while the trees will be nice to view, to be cognizant of the trail traffic and the bikes that are on there, because there'll be more cars going in and out. We want to make sure that's safe for the bikers as well.
I think I do agree. I'd like to go in this. I'd like to see signages around that bike trail, because there is none there on that bike trail at this point. And with this would be increased traffic.
I think that's a good idea, to have. And Gary, those trees, most of them look like they'll be removed when.
Yeah, if you look at the plan though, that's 70 feet off the trail, so.
Yeah, I don't.
Those trees, so it's not right up against it.
But that is a good idea to, do something along that, because there will be a lot more increased traffic.
It'll have to have something that starts to match at least what Timberland has.
Any other comments?
So, really quick question, I guess Gary again. So we do the rezone tonight, it'll be lakeside commercial, they don't have to come in for a CUP or anything at that point, it's just all
Reasonable.
administrative.
Correct, for the building permit, once we have second reading, and if you approve it, yeah, then they'd be eligible for their building permit.
Okay. And that's, yeah, it says this is a rezone, so it's only first reading, so.
Okay.
Although I thought on the applications, we fixed it so, oh, never mind. Never mind, withdrawn.
Okay. I get ask for a motion for our September 19th meeting minutes.
I move to approve the September 19 meeting.
Second.
Got a motion by Wanda, second by Dan, to approve the September 19 meeting minutes. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. What are claims?
I move to approve part 1 of the claims.
Second.
Got a motion by Wanda, second by Don, to approve part 1 of our claims. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We get a motion to approve part 2 of claims.
Move to approve part 2 of claims.
Second.
Got a motion by Ryan, second by Dan, to approve part 2 of the claims. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
1 abstention.
Okay. Unanticipated revenue for the ambulance.
I move to approve that we accept an unanticipated revenue of $9,266.80.
Second.
Got a motion by Wanda, second by Dan, to approve the unanticipated revenue for the ambulance. Further discussion? Do we know what that was for?
It was for a grant, they received a grant money.
Grant, okay.
Was that for the power lift? That-
It
I know that, I know
doesn't
that.
say.
Hey, you know what, don't question when I'm.
That's right, that's right. And that could very well be.
That
because I know-
doesn't happen very often.
I know there was a grant.
Yeah. No, and I
approved for that.
appreciate those guys looking for grants for that stuff, that makes a
Yep.
difference.
Motion and a second, so all in favor, aye.
I,
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Need a motion to approve September 2024 payroll.
so moved.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Wanda. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Affordable housing discussion. Don, Dan?
Do you want to take this one down again? Sure.
At our last meeting, we talked about the efforts that Gary, Dan, and I have made in looking at our ordinances and how that we could possibly make some changes that would allow people to build in the county at a more reasonable price by requiring smaller lot sizes. And I passed out, we passed out the update or the printout on where we're at and what the proposed changes were. And since this has happened, I think there's been some discussion with the city. And I talked with Nancy about it, and between the two organizations, Thrive and the city, I think people are in favor of economic development and whatever can be done to do that with the qualification that we want to be treating our rural landowners properly, which the suggestion was that we had hearings for input beyond what we've collected in the past and try to create more ideas that could facilitate rural house development. So I guess my suggestion would be that we go back to this printout and discuss what you've heard or thought about making these ordinance changes. If nobody has any thoughts, we just pass the damn thing and go on.
Well, I think I expressed in the last meeting, I still do question whether, changing minimum lot size for our run district makes a lot of sense or helps with affordable housing much. 5-acre lots are usually not in that affordable housing area. I do like the changes for the R2 and the R3 districts where we're kind of cleaning up language, and I think we do want to add that, especially for the small lots of R3. We are making sure that DNR regulations are being followed for septics. So
You're taking notes
Yes.
for our little group.
And I think that's, makes a sense, and I agree with everything on that. From what I've seen in the past with R1, some of those lots would, there'll be a bigger chunk, and when it comes time to divide it up, it ends up being quite a bit more than 5 lots, because some of that area across the town is really rough country, and to get proper roads, they gotta be bigger lots. And I guess our thought was that they could certainly be bigger than 5 acres, but they could also maybe be a little bit smaller. But you bring up a good point. They're not really affordable per se, but you know, a 2-acre lot is gonna be a lot less than 5. And just give that developer maybe that flexibility, because if you can get an extra lot or 2 in, now you're all sharing the same roads and it's less infrastructure, but you bring up a good point.
Well, I like that, the list acreage that Ryan List is putting forth, his lots are 4 acres. I don't think anything should be smaller than 2.
Ryan's lot's along 314.
I'm sorry?
No, I
You're
think
talking,
Yeah,
The proposed one, that rezone will be coming soon.
yeah.
that's not on 3, or on West 11, so.
It
Yeah, it-
314 and down.
Yeah,
It's
it's-
Yeah, but the 5 lots that he's just developing now are
That's on
on,
the south
on
end.
West 11,
those were 1 acre.
and those are 1 acre lots.
Those are 1 acre.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that document.
It hasn't came through yet, it's just
Hasn't come through.
preliminary
Does,
right now.
that has to get rezoned from rural transitional to R2, correct?
Correct. And that's just a preliminary plat.
Well, you take a 2-acre lot, takes a lot of work to maintain this.
True, but I'm thinking more about septic tanks because I have heard for the last 4 years about how we need a sewer system out by the lake because the lots are too close together in the septic tanks. So I like the idea of everybody has a septic tank. It's big enough to have their, I don't know what they call the
Drain field.
drain field, and because a lot of folks don't like the idea of paying ever increasing water and sewer rates.
So you're gonna have to pay it up front and buy more land,
Well,
another $10,000 or $15,000 for another acre.
well, at the rate the city is jacking the water rates and the sewer rates, doesn't take long.
I can make one comment on the, lowering the R1, and I totally agree. And I don't know if it'll be done a lot, but one thing we hear periodically is that my friend has this big chunk of land out there, and the way the land prices have went up, they said they'd be willing to knock off a couple acres for me to build a home on to make it more affordable. And that's just one of the comments that we've heard.
Well, and then there's always the option of zoning it down to R2 then.
Correct.
On this one. Another question about the R1 is that, that starts to allow you to have bigger outbuildings and such things, and building more things on your property. And so if you start restricting that size, are you now creating a very crowded, do you have the potential of making things that where you could have a crowded lot in the middle of this stuff, and that's.
And that was one of the things I mentioned also too, is if, they want to put a tower up or something and how that be affected. But we got to keep reminding ourselves, this is a minimum requirement. It's not, they're not required to do it. So, but yeah, those things definitely come into play.
And a lot of the bigger buildings are all conditional uses, so they'd still, come before the planning commission and the board. But that's good things you bring up. That's what you got to talk about with that stuff.
My concern, my only concern is if we open this up for the entire county, what's going to happen when somebody goes out and buys 5 acres and or 2 acres or 1 acre, whatever, in a section out in the middle of the county, and then, granted they got to sign the paperwork for, they understand that there's hog barns and there's cattle yards and stuff like that out there, and it's a gravel road. And 40 years from now, and that property's been sold and that lot's been sold 3 times, and the people that all of a sudden live in it, now are complaining about the cattle yard that's down the road from them or whatever.
Because that signed piece of paper runs with the land.
I understand the piece of paper runs with the land, but they don't understand that the piece of paper runs with the land.
better lawyer
I get it. I just think there's plenty of opportunities in Yankton County that we could map it out to say, okay, you could do this in that area. There's paved roads going there, and nobody's complaining about, all of a sudden you get 20 houses in a section of land, and then now everybody wants a paved road to get to there instead of a gravel road.
According to this, we aren't gonna get 20 houses in the section.
Okay.
I think Don, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing. It's like, so the proposal on the ag is, I think, a little bit more radical in changes, and it's definitely worth.
I don't think anybody thought that we were gonna have 3,000 campers down at the lake area either, 5 years ago.
Oh, 5 years ago, yeah, maybe about 10 though.
Well, whatever.
Anyway.
And I don't have a problem with what you're proposing. I think we need to figure out a way and look at avenues to where we can get some developments out in the county. I just don't want it to interfere down the road with agriculture and other possibilities.
And I agree, I fully agree with you, and that's why a lot of agricultural zoning does like a 20-acre lot for a house. It prevents people from just buying their little patch and building it and making noise for all their agricultural neighbors.
Yeah.
But the one thing in this is that on a section of ground, you'd only have 4 houses. What's the good and bad? The good is, it's like, yes, it really prevents people from doing that a little bit, and it's still 5 acres. Like Cedar County, just south of us, they have a 7-acre limit for agricultural residences. So it's not very far out. I think 5 acres is probably maybe okay with these extra restrictions.
1 acre to the west of us.
And it might help farmers with making better sections and better alignments with their properties anyway. But then the other question is are we creating a new problem with this section limits and density limits? Or, it seemed, I was just trying to picture this and suddenly, that one person has their way over here on the other end of the quarter, there's a house already there, so I can't put my house over here, even though this is probably the best place because it has the best road and everything, and it's actually good for the county because then we don't have to maintain more roads and stuff like that with the, more constant, I don't know, what are the long-term effects that we might not be seeing with this? That's what I'm trying to picture a little bit.
And I concur, I agree with that. But one of the things that we talked about was that our farming population is growing older. They're coming closer to retirement. And this is in most families, farm families, this is their 401k retirement plan, the land. And by allowing them to buy it in smaller tracts, or sell it in smaller tracts, they can maintain ownership of the big chunk of land and sell off of it. If you need an acre sold, you need 10, 15,000, you sell an acre or two. If I were an elderly farmer, I'd say, why the hell are you letting them take a set of housing development out in one section of the county and I can't do it? Why don't I have property rights?
Just one more comment on the R1 area. I think the GIS showed we have over 40,000 acres of R1 in the county, and so, you know, one of the things that's being done with some of that area that's being divided up is they are asking, you know, the buyers, what size lot do you want? And so some of those developments are doing 8, 10, 12, whatever the people are looking for that at least meets the minimum of 5 acres. And so there has been some flexibility in that regard too, of how they're platting those things out. And so that's nice to see. And we did hear from a realtor last week that mentioned that there are still a fair number of people that are looking for that 5 acre plus lot. So yeah, we definitely got to keep those things in mind.
And they can buy it, they can buy 5 acres.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I may, so again, you know, I think it's a great discussion that's been brought up, but, you know, kind of, if we look and we think back, you know, our rural population is probably the lowest it's been in all our lifetimes. You know, there used to be a house on every quarter section in the family, and those are all gone, and there's nothing we can do about that. And churches are closing, fewer and fewer kids, and you know, we don't have a lot of tools in our toolbox to help this out. And so one thing we can do is you know, lot size with some of those. And I guess I wonder, you know, sometimes I think, you know, ask the question, you know, like, why is the number it is? And you know, 20 acres, it probably made sense years ago, but does that make sense today? I know a VA loan, for example, you know, one of the benefits of being a veteran allows you to build a house, but if the land value is more than the house, you can't use the VA loan. And we actually had that happen a few years ago to that couple out by Lesterville, a retired veteran, and his wife actually inherited 80 acres, and they came in and the bank wouldn't give them a loan because they own 80 acres. So they came in and then they plotted out 20 acres, and it was still too much. And then they ended up and they came in for a variance for a couple acres, and we approved it because that's what the bank would approve, you know, because you couldn't. And so we did, years ago, we did a bunch of variances, you know, when Don and I was on, we probably approved 50, 100 of those.
Quite a few.
But, you know, and we won't get into why that stopped, but that stopped. And it's still an option, like you had mentioned, what doesn't make sense here, then they can always go through a variance process to move it, you know, somewhere else. But again, we don't really have a lot of tools we can use other than, you know, their zoning. And I think it's a step in the right direction to kind of maybe decrease some of the rules and you know, see what happens. Another real constraint that we haven't talked about is water. EY water is tough to get, and so I know people who are against it will say, well, there'll be places going up all over. There's very few areas to get EY water, and I want to say digging a well is probably $60,000 plus, so you're not going to run into places just everywhere. So something to consider.
So when you think about this, it's like reducing the lot size down to 5 acres and out into the agricultural zone, given the restrictions of, you know, well, you have to have septic, you have to make sure you're close to a water line, or you have to dig a well. There's a lot of extra cost incurred to just building a house out into an ag zone. Really, the only reason to change these things is maybe is what I'm gathering from what you're saying, Dan, is like maybe that people who are living out there can maybe live out there longer, or they can, as they shift away from farming, they can still live out there or something, you know.
Bring their sons and daughters home. I mean,
I think that's one thing where the restrictions that we have now is you have a son or a daughter that wants to come back and build a house on their property close to the farm. Okay, so now we gotta divide out 20 acres so that they can build a house on it. They gotta buy it. And there's a value to it, whether their dad's gonna sell it to them for $1 or whatever, the bank's gonna put a value on that property, and it's 20 acres. I think in those instances, I think this is a great idea, that we reduce that, even down to 2 acres, that they don't have to split that out and, take it away from the ag or whatever, so.
Maybe cities are closer.
Exactly.
Well, there's a lot, we've actually done a lot of that where somebody comes home and takes care of mom and dad because they don't, they need a little help, but they're not ready for the nursing home. And that might extend their life 10 years and they get to hang out with, the grandkids get to hang out with grandpa and grandma and, the other side is if you don't want to do it, then don't sell your ground.
Don't sell your ground.
So, we're bringing up good points and,
Okay, we're not ready to, at this point in time, are we ready to make a decision on this, or we're gonna keep it on for discussion? And,
Well, I guess one question is, what is our path forward once we do feel like we have suggestions? Do we send this down to the planning and zoning committee then for them to work it together to be finalized and brought back to us?
Yeah, this is basically the discussion. Yeah, obviously, to change the ordinance, we'd have to go through planning commission and county commission before that would move forward. So this is just a proposal at this point, and if there was enough interest, we'd move it forward. If not, we wouldn't, so.
There's been suggestions that we take extra effort in informing the public what's doing, but because they don't like to read in a lot of people's situations, and apparently they don't get concerned until it's at their back door. So we have to babysit them, and if we start into this ordinance change, we probably need to do more than we have in the past on informing the public.
Sure.
Well,
sure.
doesn't the public have some small modicum of responsibility to inform themselves on a day-to-day basis?
Go to ask me that, I'll tell you my opinion.
Well, that's the thing. There's a cost involved with that. So, the more you have to publish and things, obviously there's more cost to that. But yeah, I totally understand. And that's why we've started, talking to a couple realtors, couple bankers, Thrive. That helps spread the word also.
12-15 wind tower meetings open to the public invite.
Sure.
And lots
Nobody
of,
comes.
There was one, maybe 2 people, lots of times,
Yeah.
sometimes none.
That's
You got
true.
everyone?
would you propose maybe have it at the next county meeting, and then if people got ideas, because there's some good ideas to make it better,
Oh, yeah.
then we make a decision, and, because I think the planning commission, will probably offer good recommendations to us as well, and then it comes back to us that it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 meetings by the time it'd come back. But,
Do you want it on the next meeting for
is
discussion
that,
again?
what does the board think? Discuss it again and make
I
a
would
decision?
say that we should discuss it at our next meeting, if time permits.
What do we have on our next meeting?
Wind towers?
That shouldn't be at the next meeting. It hasn't even been on the planning commission yet, has it?
Next
So
week,
next Tuesday.
So I would,
Next
here,
week.
my
if
proposal.
that's the case, like you said, with time permitting, let's make a discussion on it, and then we can decide then if we want to send it to the planning board, because they will be done with the wind. And then they can make an observance of it also, so. So put it on the agenda for our next meeting for discussion again. If that's fine with everyone here?
Yep.
Yeah.
If anybody's got good ideas or things they'd like to see different, let us know.
And for the public, let any one of us give your thoughts on this discussion.
Maybe we should, when we put it in the newspaper about what we're going to talk about at the next meeting, maybe we should put something about changing lot sizes. Maybe that would encourage somebody to show up. Assuming, of course, they read the newspaper.
When we visited with the banker and the real estate person, we encouraged them to discuss it with their colleagues and forward to us any changes that they thought of. So far, I haven't heard anything.
I've heard nothing, but I mean, we really appreciate it. We're looking at this and, it should be something that's probably done, every 10 years, every 20 years and see if it's still appropriate.
Seems like we ask for information and from the public and people, and we don't get it, and then when it comes to us making a decision, then we're put on the hot seat. Okay, good discussion. It's time now for our final public comments. Are there any public comments?
Nancy Winnie, I just wanted to comment on the affordable housing, since that wasn't opened up for discussion. I decided to wait till now. I would encourage you not to reference it as affordable housing, because I think there's better terminology we can use to be clear to the public that it is creating smaller lot sizes. But as the general public defines affordable housing, this would probably not qualify. And one of the things that Don and I had talked about, and I'm not going to be able to be at your meeting in 2 weeks, so I thought I would just publicly share my comments now, is while you talk about potentially building on the section corners, I would also encourage you to think about building on a lot where there's adjacent to another house existing, so that you're creating some of that rural housing in areas together if possible, which would also help reduce the cost of some of the water costs as well if one already has BY, or there's opportunities to take off of each other on that. But I also want to make sure, as someone who's a consumer and not a producer, that you do look out for our producers, because we've seen a lot of that over the years, and how sometimes, even though there's rules in place that are people supposed to be educated on and follow, I just want to make sure that that is something that is considered about what would happen, or how it would be, the zoning would be refined, that it will impact the producers out in the area. So thank you for that.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Commission updates. Start with Wanda.
Well, good news is that the state of South Dakota, with their Indigent Defense Fund of $3 million, allotted Yankton County $50,957.35, which will help defray some of the costs, but not a lot. 2 months worth.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's a start. But every little bit will help.
Correct.
Ryan?
Well, I actually, originally earlier this week I wasn't supposed to be here, and I was going to be stuck in Minneapolis, but my plans luckily got changed. But that kind of pushed me into trying, I really want to get this onto Teams, so I might see if I can organize that I'm going to be here for the planning meeting next week, mostly to try to start working out a Teams system for attending meetings remotely and getting the people who can't be here to be on the Teams, and then maybe even providing better feeds of what's going on in our meetings. So.
Good. All right.
How long will that take though? Because with absentee going on, and we're steady every day,
Oh.
about 100.
I'm hoping to just run it during the meeting and do a lot of debugging and trying to fix things as we go, and that way we kind of work through all the kinks and without having to spend extra time outside of meetings.
Okay. Dan?
Couple things I got, the summer study on property tax methodology is going to have their last meeting on Wednesday, October 9th. So if you have any ideas you'd like to share with them, please do so. One of the things that's being considered is a software system throughout the state. That's going to take some more work because it's going to involve, auditors, treasurers, commissioners and stuff. So we want to make sure everybody has input on that. What else we got here? There was some newspaper reports, if you didn't see, about the Sixth Amendment Center in South Dakota. Go ahead and read those. We're setting up a mental health workshop. That's been discussed for the last few years, but state officials and really the county officials don't really have a good grasp on what's required and what's actual cost. We know we get the bill, but we just need to educate ourselves on that. Sarah Faust from Cottington County, I think some of you attended her meeting out in Rapid City. She's going to chair that, as well as Stacy Ackerman and Tom Greco, and they're looking for some other people. So that's all I have.
Don, you got it? I just got, I think we've got a meeting coming up on the 16th on our juvenile delinquent feasibility study. We do have a gentleman that has kind of put a blueprint and some of those things and some numbers together for possibility of adding on to our jail. So we'll be discussing that and just continue moving on with the feasibility study. No actual decision yet made, so that's where we're at on that.
How much is the addition? How many days of juvenile care? Ballpark,
As far as,
cost?
I have no idea. That's where we're waiting for the final numbers to come in on the projection of the facility, and then cost-wise on staff and funding and everything else. So it's just a feasibility study, and we're just got some ideas from an actual designer and engineers. And we got the letter a couple weeks ago that the cost is going to increase to $498 per day versus $458 at the Minnehaha facility. So we're definitely looking at almost a $50 a day increase for sending them to Minnehaha County. So
When they get their new facility done, I was thinking if they talk $750 a day.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that that's where it's going to be. And they just actually, I think, didn't they say at the meeting the other day that they got designing and groundbreaking approval for that facility? So
Is that, or they already broke ground on that?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
broke ground.
broke ground, but I think they're actually continuing to build, starting the building process now.
Move we go into executive session.
Second.
Got a motion by Dan, second by Wanda, to move into executive session for poor relief issues.
Let's vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries.
Sit the red button, yeah, for a few minutes.
No,
Okay.
not on my
I
end.
just I saw some up when I was up there. I was just like,
Oh.
making sure.
Interesting. No, it hasn't come through on my
Okay.
end, so.
All right, just making sure we didn't have any Wi-Fi go down or something.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
I just thought that would be a good opportunity if something that's already existing, and I'm gonna fix this table, because it's driving me crazy.
It's like it's gonna fall.
New appropriation.
Yeah, got it taken care of now.
You're one busy woman.
You're everywhere.
Today I am.
There you are.
my wife and I plan to come to the party.
And the meals are gonna be paid for by,
I think that's cool.
by Trinity, the group that does meals at
Good.
at the jail.
You know, that's what.
No, it's actually.
No, I specifically
Prepared by-
asked not.
Prepared by. Rock Bottom.
Thank you for doing that.
I move we go back into session.
Second.
Motion by Wanda, second by Dan to move back into regular session.
I move that we table the request for poor relief for 2 mental illness holds until we can verify the amounts.
All in favor, say aye.
But wait, I need a second.
I got a motion
We're
by
talking about the
Wanda,
first
second by,
motion.
oh, all in favor, aye. On
Aye.
the first motion to move into general session. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now, Wanda.
All right, I move again to deny or table the 2 mental illness holds in the amount of $863 each until we can verify the cost.
Motion by Wanda, second by Dan. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Okay, and there's quite a few insurance companies that are gonna quote for medical insurance. I'm gonna try to have, if they can get it by the second meeting in October, I'll have them come and present their quotes.
Are they going to do PowerPoints? And if they do, can we just have the numbers and not have them read them to us, please?
They'll send all their quotes and then,
Okay.
I don't know what they look
I'm
like.
assuming
It
that.
was
I
best
mean,
to
I
send
can
them
put
all
them
at
at
once.
5 minutes, or do you want me to
3
put them
minutes.
longer?
Second.
Well,
Can I move they send all the quotes to Wanda in paper form? I'm joking.
I'm
I'm
all
assuming
about
that's
that.
what it says in the packet.
Yep, each one will send a packet, not when, and those will be in your packet. And then the first meeting then in November, which will be November 7th, it's on a Thursday. We'll do the canvass of the election, and then I'll have to get them on there.
Okay.
And then we can, yeah, we'll approve it then. I
That'll
think
give,
we
that'll give
better-
us at least till the 1st of December to approve it on that. That'll give us almost a month to,
Sort through them.
yes.
I'm glad we're getting going this early.
Thanks
Are
to
there
Patty,
any-
thanks to Patty for getting that information.
Are there any special things that any county employees want us to consider when we talk about medical insurance? Like
Carriers?
like the carrier or the, what do they call it? The distance they go, you know what I'm talking about? Can you think of the
The
word?
network,
Network.
Yeah, there you go, thank you.
I'd say at least cover Mayo Clinic,
Omaha,
Omaha, Blue Cross Blue Shield, usually gets pretty good.
Yeah, Medica did too.
but Medica,
they're
they're
leaving,
quitting.
right? They're
Yep.
leaving.
They're the ones that are quitting, so we don't really care about them anymore. I move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Wanda, second by Dan. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.
We're out in time to, we're out in time to get home and listen to the debate.